Okay. So yeah, we had those three phases of the competition: gymnasium, practice, or practice game, individual game, team game. So the categories: open source intelligence. Effectively, this is how good are you at finding information online? Could be considered how well do you Google? When asked a question, how quickly can you find the answer accurately? That's really what a lot of this is about. An example is you might be given a picture, a JPEG, and it'll be of a building. And this is, those of you that have participated, this is a common thing. And it'll ask, okay, what's this building? Where is this located? Things like that. What's the building? I don't know. We'll talk about strategies for how to figure out how to find that information. Cryptography. We don't store things, especially things like passwords or confidential information and such, in what's called plain text, meaning if I pick up this document, I can read what it says because the words are there. I can read them. They're in the English language. If I transmit a document in plain text over the network, somebody could intercept that document and then be able to read exactly what's in that document. Well, that's where we get into cryptography and encryption so that people aren't I'm not going to say they can't read it, but it's not obvious what's contained in that document. So the cryptography section is about, okay, understanding what are the various forms of cryptography, but more importantly, how do you decrypt those things? The various analyses, whether it's log analysis or network analysis, when we transmit data, we can capture that information that's going across a network. And so as system administrators, network administrators, cybersecurity professionals, one of the tasks that we are may be responsible for is looking at that traffic and finding out what's going on our networks. That's what this one is about. Since in an organization, our employees, our customers, our vendors, they're all interacting with the systems that we put in place for them. I as a cyber person want to know who's accessing what resources, and more importantly, if somebody is trying to inappropriately access those resources. Well, everything that we connect to is creating a log file that is recording all of this activity. So when you're presented with a log file, how do you know what to look for in there to see whether or not somebody is trying to inappropriately log into that system? So those are the kinds of things that will be involved in log analysis. Scanning, forensics. On the defensive side, I might set up all these measures to try and protect our resources. I set up these firewalls and I set up these intrusion detection and prevention systems, and I do all these things. But I might have missed something. Or there might have been something I just simply wasn't aware of. Or I misconfigured something. There's human error. There's human ignorance that might make your systems vulnerable. And so this is, okay, how do you scan things to see whether or not there are vulnerabilities? And if there are vulnerabilities, how do you exploit those vulnerabilities? That's when we get into the hacking side of things. Forensics, something has happened. This is an after the fact activity. Something has happened, and we need to figure out what happened. What happened? When did it happen? Who did it? what was compromised, those kinds of things. And then password cracking, self-explanatory. Here's an encrypted password. What is the actual password that is associated with that? So if I click on join now, it takes me to here. If you've not participated in this before, you're going to choose to create an account. Now, this competition does have a cost. It's $35 for the entire competition. After October 11th, the fee goes up, the cost goes up to $45. So please keep that in mind. I know one other thing I need to show. So for the undergraduate students, all of you should have this BSU Student Cybersecurity Competition community in your Canvas dashboard. For the graduate students, I will add you to that community because I have a lot of resources in that community that will be useful in the competition. After you've registered and paid for your account, one of the things that I need you to do is associate your account with me and my cohorts as coaches. And so you'll come into this Canvas community. All you have to do is click on this link and it will automatically put you into my group. Okay, I just violated one of those cybersecurity ideas. Yeah, just click this link. Trust me. I know. But you got to trust somebody. And who better than me? I mean, no. Sorry. You can do this manually. It may ask you for a code, a coach's code. I will tell you what, I'm going to do that now before I forget. Good golly. So in the registration process, you could do it manually by entering in this code. But if that doesn't show up, instead of digging around within their system to figure out where do I put that code, it is easier to use the link that I have here. So once you are registered, this is what you will have access to. So we are participating in the NCL Fall 2024 competition. And as I mentioned, there's the gymnasium. So let's take a look at that. Well, before I do that, any questions? Okay. So here, again, here are the different categories. This is where we participate in the competition. I'm going to go ahead. Well, let me back up. So on this screen, this is an overview of how you're doing. Here are the various categories. As you solve various challenges within each category, on the diagram on this side, the right side, the line will go out on the appropriate access for each as you gain points. As you gain points in that particular category. In the middle here. So in this gymnasium, there are 5,020 points possible. Don't worry about how many points you get. And then there's this subcategory of accuracy and completion. Completion is just how many questions did you answer correctly? The accuracy is, well, if you were able to successfully answer all the questions that you do attempt on the first try for each question, then your accuracy is at 100%. But since you make mistakes, you think you've got the right answer, you put the answer in, and it says, nope, that's not the right answer. That brings down the accuracy. For the purpose of what we're doing here, don't care. When it comes to the competition, if they're looking at, okay, here are X people that all got the same score, and they're trying to figure out, okay, who's number one? Well, if you've got 5 people that all had that same high score, then they're going to start to look at the accuracy to see, okay, who had the highest accuracy amongst those people that had the same score? Oh, this person had the highest accuracy. That person is number one. This person had the second, and so on. Are any of you in Mr. Church's CT 265 this semester? I'm going to make an assumption that you're not using accuracy in the grading. So it is just points in the class. I'm assuming. I don't want to speak on your, I shouldn't speak on your behalf. Cool. Very good. All right. So let's take a look at what does the competition actually look like? What do the challenges actually look like? So I'm going to enter. And this is the playing field, so to speak. So to give a tour of what we're seeing here, we're in the gymnasium. We're in the getting started. Well, this is just, there's a series of questions that they're going to ask that are introducing you to this system. Some of it has to do with how you enter in information. So what is the format? If it's looking for a date, if it's looking for a specific time, what is the formatting of that? And so it'll walk you through how it does that. In terms of points, always make sure you do these basic ones, because they should be free points. You know, yeah, it should be free points. So make sure to do that. And also when it comes time for the actual individual and team games, there's usually some questions at the end that are kind of reflection questions. What did you think of the competition? Those types of things. Again, free points. But I want to jump to a more practical thing. So I switched into this open source intelligence. On the left-hand bar, for these 3 lines, if I click on that, it shows me that within this category, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different challenges within this category. It shows me I have 0 of 3 in this particular challenge answered, but it shows me how many questions are in each of these challenges. It also gives me an indication of the difficulty: easy, medium, hard. When it comes to the competition, my recommendation to you is, well, I might try and get through all of these right away. Okay, fine. As long as they are going quickly, I would agree with that. But since this is a competition, ultimately you're trying to get as many points as possible. So for the things that come quickly, absolutely, you do those right away. But as soon as you hit a challenge that after you've worked on it for a little while, you're going, I'm really not sure about this. I haven't figured out how to solve this challenge yet. I would say hold off on that one. come back to it later. Because if I've got all the points possible in this category, but I've got all these other categories as well. And within each of those other categories, there's going to be easy, medium, and hard challenges. From a strategic perspective, it makes more sense to me to try and get as many of those easy points as possible, and then go back and work on the ones that are a little more difficult. Are the values of those easy ones as much? No, but I can knock those out really, really quick and then spend the time on the more difficult ones. What I would hate to see is okay, crap, that's code. And I'm really not sure how to handle code. And so let's say I start off the competition with this challenge, and I'm banging my head against the wall the entire time trying to figure out this one challenge, and I lose the opportunity to get all of the other easy points. So do the easy ones first, and then make a judgment on, okay, this is the next one that looks reasonable to me. I'll work on that, and then so on and so on and so on to get as many points as possible. Now, I did mention that in the gym, it is there for you to learn. So you'll notice in the bottom left corner, there's a box that says, click to reveal solution guide. It will provide you with answers of how to solve the challenge, if not outright say, here's the answer, but hopefully an explanation will accompany that. So I'm going to click on that. And when I do, there was a link in there. You can watch it in the box, but I prefer to open it on a separate page. There's a video tutorial, bonus. But in addition to that, it provides this particular solution guide is providing a walkthrough and explanation of how to solve this particular challenge. During the gymnasium or anything related to the gymnasium, we as the coaches are able to, or allowed, I should say, to help you as much as possible. You are also allowed to seek as much assistance from each other as you want. Once you get into the practice game and the individual game, that stops. Come on in, come on in. In the practice and the individual game, you are allowed to use any resource that you can find on your computer, online. The only thing that you are not allowed to use is another human being. Simple as that. But if it's online, it's fair game. So the tools, the information, explanations, yeah, absolutely. That's what you should be doing. They have automated systems to detect whether or not people are helping each other. And historically, when it's detected those, I get an email, the participants get an email saying, you've been disqualified from this stage of the competition. And then I get the emails also. Now, there are opportunities to appeal that, because it may be, I didn't do anything. And it may be somebody walked behind you if you were working on it in here and saw what you were doing and then entered it in on theirs. If that's the case, then if you were the victim in that case, then you shouldn't be penalized. And so there is an appeals process for this. Questions so far? All right. I'm going to go back up here. So actually, yeah, no, we'll do a couple here. So I'm in the back in the open source intelligence, and I was mentioning that in this category, it is how well you can find information. So it provides me with some questions. What type of DNS record holds the DNSSEC public signing key? I don't know. That's okay. Those of you that have not participated in this before, for the rest of you, how would you figure that out? Looking for a volunteer. Ah. Now, how would you go about doing that specifically?
Start off with looking up DNS records to try to find out.
So I could go in, open up whichever search engine of my choices, and I could type in something. I'm going to make it simpler. I am literally just going to copy and paste it in. That way, if I put it in manually, I might, because of my lack of experience with this particular topic, I might put it in a way that leads somewhere else. If I put in their words, I am searching for the question that they are asking. That was quick. It would appear that the answer is DNS key. Do I need to spend the time reading through? I mean, I would want to verify that, okay, just because it popped up DNS key, don't assume that that's automatically the correct answer. I would want to read enough to make sure that, yeah, that looks like the appropriate answer for the question being asked. So DNS key record type holds the public signing key for DNSSEC. That looks like what the question was asking. So I'm going to copy that. Go back in, paste that into the answer field, and hit the arrow or hit enter. Because I got a green check mark, that means, yes, that was the correct answer. Now, going back to the bar on the left-hand side, one of the things I should have pointed out, there's this attempts. Originally, it had 15 attempts. Every time I enter an answer into any of these 3 fields, it ticks down 1. And so you might expect, once it hits 0, you are no longer able to answer any questions. So with that, okay. What type of DNS record is used to map host names to IPv6? I don't know. I'm just going to make something up. IPv6 mapper. I know that that's not the right answer, but I think it might be. No. I get it. The field turns red. The attempts goes down to, the attempts goes down to 13. Now, and correspondingly, my accuracy just went down as well. Where this comes into play for you as participants in this. There are times when, but I know this is the right answer. This has got to be the right answer. So the impulse is I enter it again, exactly as it was before, because maybe this time it's going to be accurate. No. If you put in exactly the same thing in, and it said no the first time, it's going to say no the second time. Resist that temptation. Now, what you do need to do is go back and look, okay, maybe I mistyped the answer. I transposed numbers. I transposed letters. And so that if it's not the specific thing, it's going to count it as wrong. And I just typed it in inaccurately. I do want to check for that. But what I want to avoid is just that copy and paste over and over and over again with the incorrect answer. Because again, this is going to tick down every time I do that. But what if I've answered it? I've tried this to answer this question 5 times. And I'm getting ready to put in the sixth one, and I'm starting to ask myself, oh, wait a second. Did I try that answer already? Because I know that if I put that in again, it's going to be incorrect. But I don't remember what I answered before, especially if I'm coming back to this. I start working on this right now. I close out, I come back to it tomorrow. I don't remember what I put in yesterday. The icon underneath attempts, if I click on that, it'll show me the history of what I entered for that particular thing. So with history of what I've entered within this challenge. So it tells me, hey, you put in IPv6 mapper and it was wrong. Don't do that again. Is basically what it's telling you. If you want to give them feedback, you can. So questions about this? Okay. So those questions are pretty straightforward. So I'm gonna, because they're literally just basic, copy and paste into Google and see what the answer is. There are other challenges where you have to download a file from their site, and then that file is the material that is used to figure out the answers to the challenges. So in this case, we've got a picture of a lamb. That's nice. It wants to know, okay, so when was this image created? I can't tell from what's on the screen. So in the top right corner, there's a download manager window. If I click on meta.jpg, it'll allow me to download that. Now, I've already got it downloaded, so I'm going to come out of this and go into my NCL stuff, my official stuff folder. And here's that little lamb. All right. I'm going to open up the picture. I still only see a little lamb. So can anybody give me a suggestion on, okay, so how can I figure out what date this was created on?
Metadata.
Look at the metadata, as the name of the file might imply. So that then begs the question, what is metadata?
Data about data.
It's the data about the data. We've got this cyclical definition going on here. So what does that mean? Well, okay, so if it's the data about the data, when you think about me as a person, okay, so I'm this person, but there's information about me. What kind of information is there? I've got a first name, last name, date of birth, office, which office I'm in, my office phone number, all this information that relates to me as an object. Same thing with the files. We have this file, but there's information relating to that file embedded within the file. So I don't usually do it from within here, but I think, isn't there a way to see some of the meta? Yeah, file info. So I went to the three dots and choose file info. And I have some information that I just found. It suggests that it was created on May 15th, 2015 at 2:14 a.m. Okay, let's find out whether that's accurate. So when was the image created? Round to the nearest minute. So
Would you say it's rounding to the nearest minute?
yeah. So I've got this interface. I don't really like this interface. I'd rather just enter it in manually, and I think I can. I don't usually enter it in manually though, because again, they have a specific way they want the dates and times formatted. So by using this interface, it is guaranteed to be in the format that they want. So I'm going to click on the dates. I'm going to click on the year because I need to go back to 2015. So I click on 2015. May 15th at 2:14 a.m. So I've got year, month, day, time. Let's find out if that's accurate or if that's the correct answer. Boom. So I've got a variety of information. I could fill it out from here, but I want to do this in a different way. Another way that I can find the same information is by right-clicking on the item, the document, whether it's an image, a Word file, a spreadsheet, doesn't matter. The same thing applies to all digital documents. I can right-click on it and go to Properties. And it gives me some information here. Oh, created. Wait, no. That is the date that the file was created on this computer, not when the file was originally created. So I need to go to the Details tab. And here's where I'll find that same information. When I looked at the file info within the, I don't remember which program opened up the picture, but when I looked at the file info from there, it was pulling this data to populate what I saw on the screen there. So I've got date. It's asking for dimensions. So that being the case, with dimensions, 1024 by 768. What make a camera took the picture? That I don't think showed up in the other file info that we were looking at. So I would need to come into this interface to find that information. So I'm going to go back to the details over here, scroll down. I see that this was made, or this image was captured using an Apple iPhone 5. So what make iPhone? No. Apple iPhone. It was nitpicky. What model? iPhone 5. So all of this information is in here. Now here's the interesting one. What are the GPS coordinates where the picture was taken? What's that?
I automatically say location in my head, so.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, there it is.
if you, on most cameras, I mean, on most cell phones, by default, it'll GPS tag the pictures that you take with your camera. That is how law enforcement finds the bad people when they are taking pictures to glorify their inappropriate actions, and then they make that available online. But they didn't realize they're leaving a trail right back to where they took the picture. And so we catch the bad people that way. We rely on the ignorance of others in that case. So I've got, if it's posted online, it is public information.
Wow. Even in the EU?
That I would have to look at the regulations to say yes or no.
I think it's
Yeah. Within the US, probably not. Federal guidelines would supersede that.
Is it possible to alter the location and then the compressed to the
Of course. So if you're wanting to hide you delete that information. Or if you're wanting to mislead, you change the coordinates and have it in the middle of a lake or something like that. But what's important for this, because there are almost always GPS types of questions in beyond just the gymnasium. There are two different formats that GPS can be done, or can be presented, I should say. In this file, it's showing me 3 numbers. Oh, never mind. They changed. In the past, they only accepted a certain format. So it could be, remind me, you should know.
Degrees, minutes, seconds, and decimal degrees.
This is degrees, minutes, seconds. That's one way of presenting GPS coordinates. The other is longitude and latitude, which is decimal. I mean, these are, yes, these are longitude and latitude. The other is with a decimal value. In the past, and it's still a possibility in the actual competition, they might present you with one format and you have to provide the other format.
Google Earth.
So how do I figure this stuff out? Again, Google is your best friend, or whichever search engine of your choice. So I'm going to put in a GPS coordinate finder, because now, if you recall, when I pulled up the picture and went to get info, it pulled up a map. But I want to try and do it a different way. So there's a variety of tools that are available. And here we've got 2 different ways that I can enter in. I've got the decimal version and I've got the degrees, minutes, seconds. So since I am provided with the degrees, minutes, seconds, I'm going to put that in. So 39, 52, 30, and 20, 0, 36. Now, here's the thing. You'll notice right here, it says north, south, east, west. At the moment, unless you have a way, I don't know where this is.
Positive or negative?
Even within the degrees, minutes, seconds. Come on in.
What did you say, Ryan?
Positive or negative?
Uh,
So
I knew
for
that on the
north,
equator.
it works both ways.
it works on both. Okay.
So for north-south, if it's below the equator, if
Right.
it's southern hemisphere, it's a negative number going below
Okay.
the equator.
Cool.
But
So I'm gonna get address. Well, since I didn't take what he just said into account, it's placing me in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Still be correct, positive.
So positive was east.
yes,
So I'm changing west to east. And I'm going to run it again. Oh, that sounds a little more like it. Albania. At least it's an actual a coordination that is not in the middle of the ocean. So I'm going to try Albania. No. Okay. That didn't work. What else should I try?
The address, maybe?
so the question was asking for a
Oh.
actual coordinate, correct?
Oh. Yeah, sorry. I was going too far. In other challenges, it will ask for the physical location of this coordinate. I wasn't answering the question that was being asked. Do as I say, not as I do. It's a dad moment on my part. Sorry. So, yes. Well, okay, it is a Canvas community. So I had requested that from the help desk that all applied cybersecurity majors be automatically put into there. If not, that means they haven't done what I asked them to do, so I can manually do it.
Let's see.
So at a minimum, you have to give like a data center community. One of them not from me. Oh, the college one. Yeah, so if the BSU student cybersecurity competition community is not in your dashboard, email me and I will add you to the list, because I enter it in by email addresses and then it pulls your records and adds you into that community. So please do that. I want to close this. All right. So I'm just about out of time. I was remiss in introducing everybody at the beginning. I introduced myself, but I am not the only one here to help you in the competition. Now, you're going to be participating, so you have to assume that role. But we have Mr. Church, Mr. Kyle Church here. He is teaching the offensive security class, and he will be one of the coaches. In the back of the room, we have Mr. Joel Weirdu. He is an instructor within the program who is also going to be a coach. Let me see. No. We also have Dr. Feroz Khan, who is a faculty member in our graduate program, who is also going to be serving as a coach. So I will make their contact information available to everybody. But and so for anything in the gymnasium, you are at liberty to ask us whatever you need. And we will do our best to help. But I also want to do organized, scheduled coaching. That's one of the things that we as the coaches still need to hammer out. And I also need to find time when this room is available or that room is available, but also when you all are available. So I will send out some kind of a survey saying, hey, here are the times when we are available. What are the best times for all of you? And it may be that we kind of have multiple sessions at different times to accommodate as many of you as possible. All of those sessions will be recorded and I will post them in the community so that if you're unable to attend a particular session, you still have access to that information. Okay. So since we're at that time, especially if you've got a 1 o'clock class, any other questions that I may not have addressed? Okay, so first order of business, register for the competition. Second order of business, enter in that coach's code. When you do that, it will pop up on my list and I will see that you are registered. And if you're not in the community, in that Canvas community, send me an email and I will manually place you into that community. Thank you very much.
Actually,
Let me tell it to stop recording real quick.
sorry.
No problem, no problem. There we go.